Hey guys, it's Kimberly Jolly, and It's So Emma has 8 brand new patterns this season, and today I'm going to show you rose quarter, and I'm going to show you my tips to get perfect applique using the It's So Emma Impressions templates. So let's get started. So today I'm going to show you how to make one rose quarter block and give you all my tips. So first we're going to start with our applique. On your fabric E, what you're going to want to do is take your fabric. I used Heat and Bond Light because I think it's thin enough. We're going to be doing fusible applique. On this, you have a flat side and a bumpy side. You want to take the bumpy side, fuse it on the back, just place it on the back of your fabric, wrong side, and iron it. You're just going to press it in place on medium heat, not too hot, and no steam. So then you've got your fused pieces. Both of your fabric E's have fused pieces. And then what I did was start with the straight edge on the short side of each rectangle. Take a 5-inch impressions template. On this template we've got dots. You're going to just draw with a friction pen. I'm using friction because it disappears with heat later. You can use a Soline pencil if you like that. I like to do quick and easy, and that just takes too much work. So we're going to do 2 pink and 2 yellow for each block. And you can see these templates are nice, and they have a texture where they're not going to slip around on your fabric. Then I use the Tula Pink scissors, but what you want to do is have a nice long blade so you have a really clean cut, and you're just going to cut directly on that line. Since this is raw edge, you're going to see this edge. So you want to do a nice pretty cut. So I'm going to use a light pad on this next section. From your pattern, pull out your petal placement guide, a fabric B square, and one of your petals. On your light box, place it down and just put the square loosely over it. Pull your Heat and Bond light off of the back. Place it down, following the guide. Move this over, and since I'm not using steam, it's not going to damage my paper underneath. Press down. Then I'll move the paper when it's in place, and I just kind of move like this. And then I'm just going to leave it about 8 seconds. So that's fused down nicely. Then what I would do is go and applique your piece. You can either do a blanket stitch, just stitch right inside, however you prefer to applique. Once you've done your stitches, you're going to bring it back, because when you applique, sometimes those stitches are going to shrink it up, and I prefer to have things precise, so I'm going to trim it down after I applique, which I know is an extra step, but it's going to give you this beautiful quilt like we have behind us, where everything is very uniform. So put your stitches in, come back, place it on your placement guide, and then you're going to see these edges, and I'm just going to draw lines on the edges of the square. Then I'm going to use a 4.5-inch square Creative Grids ruler, put those lines exactly where we had them, and trim. And by doing this, you're going to ensure that all of your petals are exactly the same. And some of you might think it's redundant, but when you're done, you're going to see the beautiful results and just love this technique. For each block, you're going to make 2 petal units that are pink and 2 petal units that are yellow. Now we're going to make our leaf unit using very similar techniques. This time we're going to be using our 3-inch leaf template, and on your fabric F and H, You're going to have pre-fused the back of these just like you did on the previous with Heat and Bond Light. Draw your leaf with a friction pin. Cut them out. I do this really slowly, and you can see I use the full blade all the way across. That way you don't get as many starts and stops, because sometimes you can see that. So we're going to take our fabric A rectangle, place it on our leaf placement guide this time, and on this one we're going to put green on the left and green on the right and blue on the left. I'm going to take my papers off. Use my light box. I'm going to turn over to my ironing board, have everything placed on my guide, pull the paper over and press with no steam. Let it sit 8 seconds. And then you're going to sew all your applique stitches. Come back. And on your placement guide, this solid line on the outside, I'm just going to draw the corners. If it makes it easier for you, you could draw the entire thing. Flip this back to the cutting, and we're going to trim this to 4.5 by 7. So I'm just going to follow my lines. I'm also going to use my ruler. You never want to use just the lines. But it's just a placement guide so that all of your leaves are in the same spot. So I've cut those two. Now I'm going to do 4.5 by 7. And you're going to make 2 that have green on the left and blue on the right. And 2 that have blue on the left and green on the right. You can have a lot of fun when you're appliquing by using matching Aurifil colors. Look at the description below for the colors that match these fabrics. Now we're going to put our center unit together, which is going to give you a nice change of pace from doing all the applique. You're going to put green on one corner, 2 opposing corners, blue on 2 opposing corners, and you put red in the center. Sew these together into rows. Then sew your rows together. Follow the pressing on your pattern, and you're going to have your center unit. Now let's put the block together. Now you're going to lay out your block, pink on 2 opposing corners, yellow on 2 opposing corners, and then you're just going to do a circle where your greens and blues touch. And you want to make sure this side, which has less fabric, is on the inside, and the one that has more fabric is on the outside. You're going to sew these into rows and press, and then sew these together, and you've got your rose quarter block. You can find this pattern that comes in 3 sizes at the Fat Quarter Shop or at your favorite quilt shop. See you next time.